What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. And today we're here with Grand Party, day number 4. So we've got one more day to go, thankfully, and then this season will finally be over. But we mentioned it in yesterday's video, talking about this new potential strategy where once you have completed your matches for the day, if you change your GP leader to another character on your team, it makes it easier for other players to find teams that are easily beatable. And that's exactly what we showcase in this video, as we find some opponents that have their GP leader set as another character on their team, meaning that we don't have to worry about an opposing Gear 5 burst giving us a much higher chance of victory. So I also do it at the end of this clip once again, but make sure to do that because, as you can see, we've got a GP lead opponent of PvP Red Recruit Inazuma, which is kind of fascinating, a character you don't see too often. But we end up using this health cut team, the powerhouse team here, and it does surprisingly well against the Dex team, so long as it's not the team with like Blackbeard, Big Mom. Like, those teams can still be pretty threatening, but if you're up against a Dex team that doesn't have either of those two, or is missing one of those two characters, it gives you a pretty good chance at victory. And then we move on to the secondary team here, which is going to be a pretty typical looking Psy Free Spirit squad, and I end up just using my Dex team against it because I feel comfortable with my Free Spirit team up against whatever my opponent's last team is. So even if we end up losing this one, it's not the end of the world. But surprisingly, because of the health cut, I thought, you know what, we'll go ahead and use our burst and we'll just see what happens. And we end up securing victory anyway, so a pretty easy first match. Moving on to match number 2, and we're going to be switching things up in terms of the order of our teams, because we see this opposing team is going to be using Pell as their GP leader, but their first team is going to be a Psy Free Spirit team, and I felt pretty comfortable as I had a couple of experiences in the past utilizing this current Free Spirit team that I have up against opposing Free Spirit teams. And as I said, it's had pretty good experience in the past of having good success against it. And the other thing that isn't really stated about this strategy that I've talked about, how you can change your GP leader to something weaker, is not only do you not have to worry about the burst, but you lose out on a lot of additional statistics that get implemented on the opposing side of the field. So because we have, Gear 5 leader with our Free Spirit squad, a lot of our characters get additional special CT, and we don't have to worry about that when your opponent's Free Spirit team also lacks a little bit of additional special CT, which gives further success rate for Nami and Karina to reduce the opposing special CT before they can launch their specials, making Zoro a bit more potent, and it just works really well. So I keep harping on about this strategy, but make sure to do it because it does give you a much higher chance of victory, and the more people that do it, the better it's going to be. Now, of course, we had this a different kind of strategy be implemented in the past, where we tried to run the low power strat, and Bandai ended up patching that one out. So I hope that Bandai don't end up patching this strategy out, but hey, things can happen, so we'll have to wait and see what happens next season, because as it stands right now, Gear 5 is very oppressive in the meta of Grand Party, and it's basically Gear 5 or bust. If you're not using Gear 5, you're putting yourself at a pretty severe disadvantage. I guess, you could probably, put Roger in that same category as well, because Gold Roger is still a very solid GP leader, but the thing is with Roger is that if the rest of your teams are not actually very powerful, then you can't really abuse the half stats that you're applying to the opponent. And another thing is that a lot of the more recent characters that have been releasing actually have the ability to resist half stats, so it does make Roger a little bit less potent. But with Gear 5 Luffy, you can have terrible teams that are just focused on doing health cuts, and then you can just use the burst to get the kill. So yeah, it's basically Gear 5 or bust at the moment, but with this strategy, we can basically make it so we don't have to go up against opposing Gear 5. So hopefully we can continue to do that in the future. And then we move on to match number 3, and funnily enough, I actually found the exact same player that I played in match number 2 in match number 3, so that does not happen very often. I have had this happen in the past, but pretty crazy that we won the last game and then we immediately found the same person again. So we just used the exact same teams in the exact same order with the exact same strategy, and of course it ended up working. So I'm not really going to be talking much in this video, as we've already talked about all the main key points that we really needed to talk about, but we'll wait and see what happens tomorrow, as tomorrow is going to be, you know, the final day, trying to get to those 15 wins, and eventually we're going to have all 3 teams completely grayed out, and that's going to be fascinating to see how people's teams are going to differ. So I'm not too sure if I'm going to opt to use the health cut strategy with that powerhouse team with gear 5, because that team can get thwarted pretty easily if you're up against like Wano Law, for example, because our entire team is powerhouse. If we see an opposing Wano Law, like I don't think we can win, honestly. So I think I might have to change that team up. We might use something a little bit different, but we'll wait and see what happens exactly. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video today. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure to go ahead and leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. On that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.